Imagine a world where the air is so cold it actually shatters in your lungs. You are standing in the middle of the Arctic tundra, a vast white void where the horizon disappears into a blur of frost and shadow. In the center of this frozen stage stands a mother polar bear. She has 500 pounds of muscle and motherly rage, but she is exhausted. For 3 days she has been moving her two small polar bear cubs toward the safety of the high ridges, and for 3 days she has been followed. Emerging from the blowing snow are 12 gray shapes, moving with a terrifying, synchronized grace. This is the Gray Ghost Pack, a brotherhood of 12 wolves who have perfected the art of the tactical siege. Most people assume a polar bear is the undisputed king of the North, but when you are outnumbered 12-1, strength becomes a secondary concern. This isn't just a fight for survival, it is a brutal, high-stakes game of mental chess. What happened next in the shadow of the jagged ice peaks is being called the Arctic's most brutal tactical nightmare, and it reveals a side of animal intelligence that will change the way you look at the wild forever. To understand how a mother polar bear can survive 12 professional killers, you first have to understand the wolf pack's strategy. They don't just charge in, that would be suicide. One swipe from a polar bear's paw carries enough force to snap a wolf's spine like a dry twig. No, the wolves use a maneuver called the carousel of death. They form a perfect rotating circle around the mother polar bear, constantly shifting their positions. When the polar bear turns to face one wolf, the three behind her immediately lunge for her hamstrings. This forces the polar bear into a constant, dizzying 360-degree defensive spin. It is a war of attrition designed to drain her energy until her heart literally gives out from the sheer physical exertion. But this mother polar bear has something the wolves didn't count on, a tactical mind of her own. She knows she cannot win a foot race, and she cannot protect her cubs in the open white. She realizes that her only hope is to find a tactical anchor, a piece of the environment she can use to negate the wolves' numerical advantage. As the wolves begin their first probing attacks, nipping at her flanks and darting away before she can counter, the mother polar bear spots a narrow limestone crevice about 50 yards away. She doesn't panic. She gathers her cubs beneath her belly, effectively using her massive body as a mobile armored bunker, and begins a slow, agonizing crawl toward the rocks. The wolves see what she is doing. They know that if she reaches that crevice, their ability to surround her is gone. The alpha male, a battle-scarred giant with a coat the color of storm clouds, lets out a short, sharp bark. It's a command. The pack breaks the carousel and switches to a high-risk frontal assault. Two wolves dive directly at the polar bear's face to distract her, while the others attempt to wedge themselves between her and the cubs. The air is filled with the sound of snapping jaws and the polar bear's deep guttural roars that vibrate through the very ground. You can almost feel the desperation in the air. Have you ever felt like the world was closing in on you from every side? That is the exact reality for this mother polar bear right now. But she doesn't break. With a roar that echoes like a landslide, she stands on her hind legs, towering nearly 9 feet tall. For a split second, the wolves hesitate. That second is all she needs. She slams her front paws down, creating a shockwave in the snow, and pushes her cubs the final 10 feet into the narrow rock chimney. Now the game has changed completely. By backing into the crevice, the mother polar bear has eliminated her blind spots. The wolves no longer attack from behind. They are forced into a bottleneck where they have to face her one by one. This is the moment where the tactical nightmare truly begins. The alpha wolf realizes the frontal assault is failing, so he orders a shift in tactics. The pack settles into a long-term siege. They sit just out of reach of her claws, staring with unblinking golden eyes. They are waiting for her to get thirsty. They are waiting for her to get tired. They are waiting for her to make just one mistake. For 6 hours, the standoff continues. The wind picks up, reaching 50 miles per hour, and the visibility drops to near zero. In these conditions, the wolves have the advantage. Their sense of smell is far more acute, and they can move through the blizzard like ghosts. But the mother polar bear has a secret weapon that nature has honed over millions of years: her sheer, stubborn endurance. As the blizzard worsens, the wolves start to lose their coordination. They're shivering, their calories burning off just trying to stay warm. The polar bear, however, is a furnace of fat and muscle. She lowers her head and enters a state of focused, defensive stillness. She is conserving every ounce of heat, her eyes never leaving the alpha. Then, a younger, more reckless wolf sees an opening. He thinks the polar bear has fallen asleep. He creeps forward, his paws silent on the ice, aiming for the polar bear's exposed shoulder. But the polar bear wasn't sleeping, it was baiting him. In a flash of movement so fast that the human eye could barely track it, the polar bear's paw sweeps out. There is a sickening thud as it connects with the wolf's chest. The young wolf is sent flying 15 feet into a snowbank, howling in pain. The message is clear: the fortress is still manned. This is the point where most predators would give up, but these wolves are starving. The alpha wolf decides on one final desperate maneuver. He splits the pack. 6 wolves stay in front to keep the polar bear occupied, while the other 6 climb the jagged rocks above the crevice. They are going to attack from the one direction the polar bear can't easily defend, from above. As the wolves scramble over the slippery stone, dislodging small pebbles that clatter down on the polar bear's head, the tension reaches a breaking point. The cubs are whimpering now, terrified by the shadows moving over them. The polar bear looks up, her eyes wide with the realization that her fortress has a flaw. The first wolf leaps from the ledge, aiming directly at the polar bear's neck. This is it, the climax of the nightmare. But as the wolf is in mid-air, the mother polar bear does something truly incredible. Instead of recoiling, she lunges forward, meeting the wolf in the air. She catches him with her jaws and uses his momentum to swing him into the wolves standing on the ground. It's a chaotic collision of fur and teeth. In the confusion, she charges forward 2 steps, clearing enough space to swipe at the wolves descending from the rocks. She is a whirlwind of destruction, a mother who has decided that today is not the day her bloodline ends. The alpha wolf watches as his pack is battered and bruised. He looks at the polar bear, then at his wounded subordinates, and finally at the darkening sky. He realizes that the cost of this kill has become too high. Even if they manage to kill the polar bear, half the pack will be too injured to survive the winter. With a low, mournful howl, he signals the retreat. One by one, the 12 shadows melt back into the white void of the tundra, leaving the mother polar bear alone in the silence. She doesn't celebrate. She doesn't move for a long time. She simply turns back to her cubs, nuzzles them to ensure they are unharmed, and begins the long trek back toward the deep woods. She has survived the tactical nightmare, not just through strength, but through a brilliant understanding of the terrain and a refusal to be intimidated by the numbers. This battle is a testament to the raw power of maternal instinct and the incredible tactical intelligence that exists in the wildest corners of our planet. It reminds us that in the Arctic, the greatest weapon isn't teeth or claws, it's the will to endure. If this story of survival and tactical brilliance moved you, make sure to hit that like button. We spend hundreds of hours researching these incredible wildlife encounters to bring you the most detailed accounts possible. Subscribe to join our nature enthusiast community and hit the bell icon so you never miss a deep dive into the world's most intense predator showdowns. What would you have done if you were in that mother polar bear's position? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and remember, the wild is always watching back.